yesterday we started. Yeah, this one I don't want. That one you can. So yesterday we started with this whole inquiry about what is the nature of I. In order for this inquiry to be successful, you need to first understand what is not I. Why do you need to understand what is not I? Because the problem is you take that I, your I is where, when you start with Vedanta, where is your I? It's in the wrong place. So you need to eliminate that in order to then Upanishad to make you see where that I really belongs. Okay? So if I ask you who are you, generally everybody starts with what? The name, right? And name is something totally random. Why? Because there's just your parents or grandparents decided that this is the name I'm going to give to this body. There is no reality to this name. Okay. You start with what? Your whole thing is I'm fat, I'm tall, I'm fair, I'm dark, I'm whatever. So all these different characteristics, it's not that they are not there. They are there. Where do they belong? They belong to physical body. Now, what is the nature? So that means you have lost what? Cognitive distance between what? The physical body and I. Whatever is the attribute of the body is imposed on what? I. So what does Vedanta do? Makes you see that yes, all these characteristics are there. You can't totally deny them, right? But they belong to what we call Annamaya. Annamaya is what? The physical body. The physical body, it is what? It is born of food, sustained by food, and what? In fact, after the body is gone, what happens? It gets cremated and it goes back to earth, and from there comes all the food. Okay, so therefore it is what we call Annamaya. Why is it kosha? It is not something which covers Atma. Please understand, nothing covers Atma, nothing can cover Atma, but it acts as though a cover, because where you mistake, it's a locus of your error. That's why as long as you continue to live with this understanding that I am as good as what? The physical body, the nature of Atma will be covered for you in your understanding. Okay? Then there is the second thing, which is pranamaya. Pranamaya is that physical body is made alive by what we call prana. Prana is what? Actually, there is such an intelligent system, because the external air, when you breathe in, it becomes what? Prana. And it actually nourishes all your organs, and it does purification, it does amazing circulatory functions, evacuation functions. It's very good. So that's why you have people who do what? Pranic healing. What is pranic healing? What is pranic healing? They act at the level of prana. Okay, so there are some imbalances which then manifest in physical body. So they, instead of just correcting at the physical level, where they go one subtler level. Then you have now that pranamaya is something, is also what? It's a modification of prana, means modification of this air, which performs a very particular function with reference to what? Your body. Now where is the mistake? You take I as what? When you, in fact, nobody says I'm prana. Nobody actually makes that statement. But if you think that your existence is as long as your body is alive, then what? That mistake is with reference to prana. Because what happens at the time of the death is what the prana leaves. So then you conclude that I am gone, I am dead. That means there is extinction. So therefore, that mistake is I is taken to be prana. Now prana belongs to what? Which sharira? Subtle body. Why does prana belong to subtle body? Because just like your physical body, prana is subtle. I can't see it. Right? So that's why when the physical body is declared dead, you don't see anything what physically leaving the body. That's why it is what? Subtle. Subtle doesn't mean some esoteric, don't start imagining some subtle auras and all. Subtle only means something which is not available to your eyes. So that means that is the whole mortality conclusion is what? Prana. While your body is alive, it is not just alive, it can do sophisticated functions. What is the function? Manomaya. You have senses which enable you to look at the world, and you are given mind to make sense of whatever is going on in the world. So that is what your central processing unit. Everything gets reported to the mind, and the mind is able to what? Process that data and make stories. Either they are accurate stories or they are inaccurate stories, right? Please don't think that mind only makes stories which are wrong stories. It's an amazing instrument. All the discoveries that we have made are what? Using your mind. So please don't condemn the mind. Mind is an amazing thing. It's the most incredible instrument that is given to you. But what is the problem? The mind belongs to Sukshma Sharira, and what is my conclusion? It is I. Nobody also actually says I am mind, but when you make the statement I am happy, where is what makes there is a thought which has what? Happiness as a subject. So you conclude what? You load whatever is happening at the level of mind to what? I, to the I. So that means the mind, while you are alive, is able to not only live but to make sense and engage in the world. That is very useful, but it is not I. It belongs to what? Sukshma Sharira. Now, when everything gets reported, and you also have to act, right? You can't just take all the reports and then what? Not act. So therefore, before you act, mind does what? Presents many different options. The more the cultivated mind, what will happen? It will present more sophisticated options. So if you are a successful business executive, what are people looking for? Why are you paid so much money to run a business? Why? The mind, you have to use mind, right? And before you make decision, your capacity to what? Come up with what? Different options which are innovative options, and not fall into what? Some very kind of gross or kind of instinctive reactions. That is what we call what? Refined mind. Even that possibility, your decisions are made from what? The number of possibilities that are presented. So you need a mind which is a sharp mind. Then wonderful. Vijnanamaya is after. Okay, so Manomaya is the place where all the data is reported, and it presents options. Okay? From these options, there are many people, what happens? They have many options, but they are so confused, they can't make decisions. So there is this another faculty, which is what you call, what? Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya is, based on all the decisions, you have to what? Make choices, decisions. Of all the different options given, you have to choose one. Okay, so that faculty is Vijnanamaya. Now, where does that belong? Sukshma Sharira. What is the nature of problem? We impute it to Atma. Right? So therefore, there is not only you make the decisions, but also what Vijnanamaya, there are some people, there are so many problems because first of all, you can have a mind which is not even presenting enough options. Having presented options, then what? You have problem in deciding which of the options you go along with. Then even if you have decided what option you go along with, you have problem in implementing it, acting out, doing something about it. There are so many people where the whole thing what only remains here. There are so many people who said, I want to do something to contribute, I want to do something to contribute, and nothing gets done. They have good intentions, they want to do things, but it doesn't get translated into corresponding actions. All this happens at Vijnanamaya. Doer. Processing, decision making, implementing, all they are quite advanced faculties. All this human body is what? Sukshma Sharira of human being is a very special Sukshma Sharira, because unlike animals, Sukshma Sharira can't do so much. They have some basic inference, they have some basic way of engaging in the world, but they can't do all these as sophisticated as human beings. Okay, so therefore this whole thing belongs to Vijnanamaya. Now the whole, your actions that you do are meant for what? Ultimately, what are you interested in? Huh? You want to enjoy the result of the action. So that whole thing is, Upanishads make a very wonderful statement. It's a very, very important statement. It says, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Anything that you like in this world is not for that thing's sake, it is for your sake. So Tara has understood that. So when I was saying, just looking at this flower makes me so happy, so she says, it's not the flower, it is the pleased self that you like. Here is a student, before you teach, she knows. It's the pleased self. It evokes what? Pleased self in me. That's why it becomes what? An object of my love. Now the same, and that's what also happens with reference to people, right? So that people, the people that you love, what do? They evoke what? Pleased self in you. Now the same person who evokes this pleased self can start what? Make you irritated. What happens? What happens to all the love? You break up. Our teacher used to always make fun. He says, there is a nice polite way of saying it, and then he says, honey, we need to keep some distance. Some space. Anandamaya.
How do you call that self?
So that means all this happens at what? Sukshma Sharira. Right? Because why? Sometimes that object makes me happy, but the same object, if I keep on staring at it, what will happen? I'll lose interest. So it's all changing, it's variable. Because there is so many things. Because the thing is, what if any given object was able to totally satisfy you, what will happen? You just need to keep that object with you and you're done. So the whole trick is what? Then you will never, so that means you will never come to Vedanta. Exactly, as Namrata says, you will never come to Vedanta because that object is able to totally satisfy you. But there is no object in the world which is totally satisfying you. That's why it impels you to what? To seek the reality. If it totally satisfied you, you will be within here itself. Okay? So that means by definition what? That it has to change. Anandamaya also has to change. And if you look at your own life, so many things that Surya makes all his MBA students do an exercise. And the exercise is write what was important to you 15 years ago. Wow, what a smell. Okay. So, what was important to you 15 years ago? And even sometimes memory, to think about what was important to me 15 years ago itself is an effort. And he said, how much of what you really wanted got fulfilled and how much did not get fulfilled? How many things got fulfilled and how many did not get fulfilled? Some of them did, some of them did not. For things which got fulfilled, are you carrying the happiness now? You even forgotten about it. You can't even bring to your mind what was it that I wanted, and when it got fulfilled, how did I feel? It's not even there. And when it did not happen your way, you were devastated at that time. You thought the world was coming to an end. Nobody loves me. My existence is all what? All these stories that you tell, and any stories, most of the stories don't even remain with you now. Some of it you carry forward, but most of it is even forgotten. So that means what happens? It is constantly changing. Now, today, what are your desires? Different set of desires. So that means at Sukshma Sharira level, there is no permanence. It keeps on changing. Okay? Different things you engage, and it gives you momentary pleasure when it gets fulfilled, and it gives you momentary setbacks and dissatisfaction. Then you bounce back again identify something else to do, again engage, again derive your pleasure and pain, and then you just move on for rest of your life. The whole Antakarana faculty, Antakarana means inner instrument that you are given. It constitutes of pranamaya, that is what? Sukshma Sharira. Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. What is the most of the people leave this world continuing to think I am what? physical body or the subtle body. So they leave the world with what the confusion of who I am is what is intact. I haven't solved the problem of who really I am. So therefore, what life is an unfinished business. So when life is an unfinished business, there cannot be unfinished business. There cannot, there has to be the end. So there is a mechanism through which you continue. What is that mechanism? Karana Sharira. You come back. Everything that you have done, because each engagement is unique. So wherever I have left off, I continue. So that means there is a mechanism which is what we call adrushta phalam. Adrushta phalam means unseen result of actions that you have done. Actions that you have done will produce result either within this lifetime or in the next lifetime. So that means from all these huge account that you have in Karana Sharira, you can't exhaust everything all at the same time. So what happens? You take on another physical body, and you have a corresponding subtle body with all its faculties, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, anandamaya, and you continue. So that means, where is the end? Because by the time you exhaust some, you accumulate a few more. There is no end. So therefore, this Karana Sharira, so that means most of the time there are some people who within this lifetime will figure out that I'm not just this physical and subtle body. There is a Karana Sharira which makes me go from one body to the other. Have I solved the problem of ignorance? No. Because now, before, my I was in only physical and subtle body. Now I have extended, but I still remain within ignorance alone. I've just shifted to one more level, and I say, I am that what we call this, as long as there is ignorance about what is the nature of real I, there is an identification with physical body, subtle body, and causal body. This status is what we call jiva. Because of the ignorance about yourself, you take Atma to be physical, subtle, and causal body. This entity is what we call jiva. So you have moved one step further, right? And this is why it's interesting. And where is this causal body? Is it somewhere else? Where there is physical body, where there is subtle body, that's exactly where causal body is. Causal, but it's something which is not manifesting. Because in this lifetime, you only come with a certain things which have to manifest themselves. We have come up with techniques. When you do past life regression, what are you working on? Causal. You are working at a causal level, because that causal is something which is otherwise not available to you. That by definition it means all the causes which you have otherwise no access to, what do? They bring in your conscious mind. So what do? They access causal body. Part of the causal body, not entire. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. They have access to part of the causal body. Because the causal body has information which is like infinite information, because you've had countless births, so you can't have, right? But you'll have people who are writing books on that the one person, and I don't know what is so nice about that book, but it became a bestseller. Because one person says, oh, I was in Egypt, and then I was in Greece, and then I was so. There are all these stories, and they were, this is wonderful. In this life itself, how many stories are there? Look for stories in this life. Yeah, enough. Yes. You don't need more stories. We just get attracted by things which are inconsequential, and we don't even realize it. Our teacher used to say, this life's situations themselves difficult to deal with. You bring in more data, what will it'll confuse you more. If causal body is supposed to be not known to you, don't interfere with it. Keep it there. It will manifest in its own place and its own time. Okay? So therefore, there are some people who believe that there is the person continues after this body is gone, but they still are not out of the error because they have shifted their eye to the causal. Now, where there is physical, where there is subtle, where there is causal, these are all covers for Atma. There is what? Atma. But you don't come to know its presence because your eye is what? Exactly. Continues with what? Physical, subtle, and at the most causal. So that's why it is nigudam. Nigudam means it remains covered until the time Vedanta comes and says, hey, besides all of this, there is one thing which keeps on getting missed by you. Okay? And it says, then you said, hey, what is there? If all this who I am not, who am I? Do you have answer to that? You don't. That's why you need Shastra. Shastra as a pramana. Anadhigatam. Anadhigatam means you have no way to figure out what is that presence. Is there a presence? And if there is, what is the nature of that presence? You have no way of figuring out. Anadhigatatvam. Now, Shastra has to, where the whole inquiry, please tell me, where does it take place? In your mind. So that means mind is the place where the confusion manifests, and mind is the place where what? It resolves. That's why you need to prepare the mind. If you have unprepared mind, there is no way you will be able to make what right connection with what Shastra is saying. Your mind will not be able to hold the meanings accurately. Okay, so therefore, this is now the Shastra is using the mind to indicate what to you the presence, which is there, which you miss out on. It uses a methodology. It says that everything that is happening at the physical level, it is what? Constantly changing. Even if you don't know right now, you think that you are a stable, same individual. From yesterday to today, how many cellular level changes took place? Millions. Some of it you may be aware of. As you start seeing grays, it starts becoming very visible. Some of it you are not even aware. You are not even aware which cell has left the body, which new cell has come into the body. You have no idea. Known to you, some changes are known, they are all visible, some are unknown. Actually, there are small changes which then all of a sudden what begin to manifest, and then you can't miss it. Okay? So that means it is constantly undergoing change. The mind, the prana is also constantly undergoing change. One day your digestive capacity is perfect. Next day, oh, I have indigestion. There is a film made in India. The whole film is a piku. The whole film is about constipation. This man and this man is obsessed with this constipation, and the whole film is that, and it won the best film award. Right? So your prana is constantly undergoing change. One day well, next day you don't know. That's why you need to what? Take care of it. Because you just don't know how next day will be. Mind. From the time of your birth till now, how many different thoughts you've had? How many? Forget about from the time of the birth, yesterday's thought. You write down. Can't. Okay, forget yesterday, this morning thoughts. Can't. Okay, so therefore, this whole mind is what? Changing constantly. Then your vijnana, which is what? Your decision making is what? It's the same decision. Every day there is what? How many decisions you have to make, whether to get up for meditation or not. Whether to eat one more idli or not. Right. Whether to visit temples or not. All full of choices, decision making. Yeah. Okay, so that means that faculty you're constantly using to make what? Different decisions. It's constantly changing. And as a result of those decisions, what comes to you is what? Pleasure and pain and all different what? Ranges of emotions.
Even before that, as a result of your decision, you engage in so many different
Activities, yeah.
So your status as a person who is doing things, you're not only doing one thing, you're engaging in so many things. So one day you are a singer, one day you are an eater, one day you're a thinker. I mean, 1 minute or 1 moment after. So even you're doing things, you think it's something which is stable, but it's like all the time also changing. So many different actions you undertake. So the doer himself or herself is changing also all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So not only your decisions are different, but you also implement. You implement or you don't implement result. Either it just stays at the level of decision, but many of it also gets translated into action. So even those actions are what? Constantly changing. Okay. Then, as a result of that engagement, you receive what? There is a bhokta. There is a bhokta who either enjoys or tries to enjoy. Most of the time, are we really enjoying? We try to enjoy. So our teacher used to say, what? Mostly dukkha, 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 then some sukha. Now that sukha you need, otherwise you'll commit suicide. Then again, what? Challenges and entanglement, and then some pleasure. So that means that bhokta is also what? Varying, constantly changing. And the karmas because of which they all come, they are what? Some of them got exhausted, new ones came. It's what? Constantly changing. Now, if you were that changes, if that was your nature, who will know that there is a change? You have to be present to come to know what this morning, what I was feeling sleepy, and hopefully now what I'm not feeling sleepy. If you were that sleepiness, what you, when the sleepiness goes, you'll disappear. Who are you? You are that awareness, Chit Swarupa, which is always there. Because it is always there, you come to know what? Constant changes which are taking place at Sukshma Sharira, Sthula Sharira, and Karana. You don't have total access, but at least you understand that what once you, if I explain to you that there is Karana Sharira, you can say that what some karmas come, I experience them, I accumulate new ones, some go, new ones come. So it is constantly changing. So there is one invariable presence. Where is this invariable presence? Somewhere out there? Is it somewhere out there? No. The very fact that you are able to observe all the physical level differences, the differences at your sukshma and causal, that awareness, chit, is where it is present. Shastra, Mundaka Upanishad, how will you understand? Is it available to you for objectification? It is because of which you objectify everything else. Everything that you objectify is in a constant flux. There is one thing which enables you to objectify everything. That when you come to know the presence of one thing, you are there before that thing comes or not? Yes. You are there. When you are aware of the presence of one thing, are you there or not when that thing is present? Yes. When the thing goes and you say it is gone, are you there or not? You are there. So you are that invariable presence. Mundaka Upanishad says, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Kena Upanishad. Okay. So One Upanishad. Okay, Krena. Okay, so that invariable presence is something that you totally miss out. Your I is stuck within what? The variables. Okay, now anything that awareness because of which you observe the constant changes, does it take on the attributes of what you observe? It never does. If it did, if I observe the table, what will happen? I'll become the table. If I observe the mountain, I'll become the mountain. Anything that you observe, you are what? Free from that. So that Chit is already free from what? The conditions of Sthula Sharira, the gross body. The Chit is already free from all the different functions which belong to Sukshma Sharira. What are those functions? Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. And that Chit is also always free from what? All the different what? Accounts, karma. It is already Shuddha. Shuddha means what? You don't need to clean the Atma. Atma is already ever. What do you need to do? Just put your eye in the right place. Remove your ignorance, which is what makes you put your eye in all wrong places. Okay, so if you understand that I am awareness, then what you understand is what I am, which is what? Vishuddham. So I am something which is what? Always pure. Okay, then where is the grief taking place? Please understand that. It says griefless. Griefless means what? Where is grief taking place? Mind. Wonderful. It is taking place at the level of mind. Who are you? You are that awareness because of which that transiting grief is known to you. While it is there, it is all consuming, but it is something which comes and goes. Okay? Now, please understand, this is critical for you to understand if you want to understand Vedanta, because people make this mistake all the time. After 25 years of Vedanta, people still make mistake. When they understand that Atma, when Shastra tells you that Atma is free from grief, what is it referring to? What is it referring to? Awareness. Perfect. Awareness is free from the grief which is experienced where? In the Sukshma Sharira, in the mind. Now, if you don't understand Vedanta properly, what happens is you construct a picture as though when you understand Atma, your mind will be completely griefless. What are you doing? Without knowing, you are continuing to put your eye where? In Sukshma Sharira. You are continuing to what? Whatever is the state, whatever is told about Atma, the awareness, you want to see it as attribute of mind. If Atma is free, you want the mind to be free. You will be hooked forever. Then you will say, oh, I understand it, but I have to feel the freedom. The craziest of the crazy people, they said, so when somebody dies, then, how can I tell the person that Atma is free? Yeah, Atma is free is a fact. And therefore you don't grieve. Where is the connection? Where is the grieving taking place? Mind. There is a continuous, that's the thing. You listen to Shastra, but the meaning of Shastra continues to elude you. Because there is just no preparedness. The grief is there at the level of mind. In spite of the transient grief, who am I? I'm Chit. In spite of the presence of grief, I am free. Wonderful. That freedom will never go. That freedom is based on fact of what is Atma. You don't need to manipulate what? The changing mind and equate it to Atma. You continue with that mistake, knowingly, unknowingly. Your knowledge of Atma makes you free, because Atma is what? Never taking on the attribute of whatever is happening at Sukshma Sharira. Never. That's a fact. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that the person will continue to have extreme grief, because the very knowledge of this reality will enable you to put your grief in perspective. And the minute you start putting it in perspective, the heaviness and the intensity will what? Automatically reduce. Okay, so your whole quality of the Sukshma Sharira will undergo a change.
I have one question here. It is, I think, possible to experience that there is presence, but this is then still not Atma, because you can't experience Atma. So where?
So Atma. So that means what we say is Atma is not that you don't experience Atma. That also is a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Atma is never experienced as an object. It's a very different statement. Atma is always present. There is no experience without presence of Atma.
But presence itself is then possible to experience.
So the presence itself is not impossible to experience. It is something which is not experienced as an object. It is what? Swataha Siddhaha. Self-evident. That self-evident aspect of this whole thing is very important. If Atma was just completely not given to you as an experience, how will you ever know it? It is always there behind every experience. What you experience constantly changes. There is one invariable presence because of which you experience everything else. That presence cannot be experienced as an object. Because our whole orientation is what? I'm talking about all these things, pratyaksha pramana. Everything that we have known so far is what? Objectifying and seeing it. And you want the same for Atma. If you want the same for Atma, what will happen? You'll never get it. So that's why we say you can't use pratyaksha pramana. You have to use that Shastra shows you that there is an invariable presence, because of which you come to know all the changes, that it's not something which is totally not given to you. It's there, but it is mixed up. That's why Shastra says, hey, there is this chit, because of which, if it was not there, what? You will not see all the changes. Changes, what? They were, it was there, it is not there. You have to precede what? That coming, to come to know it's coming. You have to be present to know its presence. You have to be present to know what? It's going. You have to be also present to know what? Coming of another thing. That presence is not totally not experienced. Please understand. It's not experienced as an object. It is swataha siddhaha. Swataha siddha means it is self-evident.
Can you say it's like a little bit similar, like seeing? Because I see, I can experience that my eyes are seeing, but I don't experience my eyes directly. Is this possible, or is there a little bit of a...
Yeah, I mean, in some ways you can, these are just some aids to make you see, but the Atma is, I mean, you can say that the very, the nature of the seer is not available for you to, I mean, I think this is a good, it's not the reality, but the eyes, what the eyes you use to see everything else, is eye available for you to see as an object? No. And you have to use what? Mirror. To see your own eyes. So now Shastra becomes what? The words of Shastra become a mirror to make you see your true nature. Because it's not going to be available as an object. You, exactly. Because the minute you see, when you want to attempt to see it, what does it, it becomes an object.
There's a very nice sentence that says the one you're looking for is the one looking.
Exactly, absolutely. The one that you're looking for is the one who's looking. Absolutely. And then there is no action of looking, but it's because of which, where is the looking action taking place? Vijnanamaya. The active action of looking takes place at Vijnanamaya. There is this presence. See, we don't mean, otherwise what happens is, when you say that, people get stuck at Vijnanamaya. Because the action of looking takes place where? In Vijnanamaya. What Shastra indicates is what? Chit. Because of which all these different actions are taking place. The whole show is going on. On the screen. Physical body, subtle body, causal, and the constant changes, giving up bodies, coming up of new bodies, the whole show. One invariable presence. Now, the next question, so now we have seen it is griefless. Okay. Now, it is, now here, as I said, it is, you can't take it as unthinkable. Unthinkable means it cannot be an object of your thinking. Okay. Now, the, now here, of endless forms. Oh my God. That, okay. Now, before I go to that, I need to make you dwell a little bit more on what is the nature of Atma. Okay, so this awareness, so that means this is Chit and it is Sat. Sat means it is. Because there are some people, there are some philosophies who conclude what? That everything is changing and there is no truth. Because everything that we know with our pratyaksha is what? Constantly changing, and there is no real, a real solidity to it. So there is no fundamental underlying truth. What is Vedanta says? What does Vedanta say? That there is that one presence, which is a fundamental presence. It's not non-existence. Sat. It is. What is its nature? Chit. Chit means that awareness. Chit is, there are two words which are used commonly in English. Either you use the word awareness or you use the word consciousness. But consciousness, as you understand the word, it means in your mind what? That sentiency. While the Sukshma Sharira is there, right, there is all these different functions going on. So your chit, when I say it is consciousness or awareness, you continue to keep it at what level? Sukshma Sharira level. So here, that chit is used is not at that level. What there is a much more fundamental reality. Okay, so chit is not consciousness while you're alive. Because one day you will go, and that consciousness will also be displaced if it was at that level. Okay, so that consciousness is something which is more fundamental than your sentiency. While the Sukshma Sharira is there is sentiency. You are able to think, you are able to act, you are able to breathe. It's not that consciousness. It's more fundamental than that. Chit. Now, that chit is unfolded to be by Shastra Anantam. Anantam means limitless. That is a huge thing. Okay, so that means now when I come to know I am not the physical body, I am not the subtle body which is constantly undergoing change. I am not also the causal body. There is a presence awareness which I miss out because I constantly take myself to be all this. Now this awareness, is it that my awareness is different from your awareness? No. Why? Yeah, that's true. What Millie is saying, there is only one awareness, but yeah. So that means Shastra, please understand, you will never be able to arrive at that there is only one awareness. How will you arrive at there is only one awareness? It's impossible. So this is where you say Shastra is Pramana. Shastra is Pramana means Shastra tells you that this awareness is only one. But if it was reality, then it has to be Abadita. Abadita means no reasoning on your part can refute that reality. Because if you can refute it with your reasoning, you have to drop Shastra. Adi Shankaracharya, the greatest proponent of Advaita, he says, if thousands of Shruti tell me that the Agni is cold, I cannot accept it. That is the level of integrity. This is what I mean when I say you can't just blindly accept. Because Shastra is saying it's one, so I have to have faith in it. No. I have to test it against my reason. How do I test it against my reason? I say, if I were to prove Shastra wrong, I have to show you what? That there are many awarenesses. Right? That's the way I disprove Shastra. Now, try to show that there are many awarenesses. One method that we have to show that there is not one but many is what? There is a method we have. We are intelligent people. Okay? One method we have is to give certain attributes to what? One object, and show what? The other object has different attributes. So that will make it how many? 2. There are 2 bodies, true. Why? This body has this attribute, that body has that attribute. Even though people think we are sisters, they still have slight different attributes. Okay. Now, physical body, there are many different attributes. That's why you have numerous physical bodies. The Sukshma Sharira has different attributes. Your mind and its functions, your prana are very different from mine. Many. Your what you are good at, what I am good at, your decision making, my decision making, what you derive enjoyment, what I derive enjoyment, all different attributes. That's why there are many. Your account is different from my account, causal level, because what you have done is different from what I have done. There we have many, true. Okay, but if I take out all these as attributes of physical, subtle and causal body and not the attributes of awareness, what attribute will I give to awareness which will distinguish my awareness from your awareness? You have to tell me that to prove Shastra wrong. Abhaditatva. You have no attributes left. There are attributes, but what is the locus of those attributes? Sthula, Sukshma and Karana. And that's why there are many. There is one attribute-less awareness. Okay. How, in order for me to understand how there is one awareness which seems like what? Many. Why? It seems that awareness seems to be what? Enclosed here and what? Enclosed there and enclosed here. So it seems like many. But it is one. There is a nice example that Shastra gives. It uses the example of space to facilitate this understanding. Please understand. This example by itself does not prove anything. No example proves anything. But it's an aid for you to understand. Okay. This glass space, with reference, it seems to be what? Contained in this glass. And that bottle space seems to be contained in the bottle. How many spaces are there? One. There is only one undivided space in which what? The glass exists, the bottle exists, room space exists. With reference to this glass space, it seems as though this is inside and this is outside. That's a visual. But is there real inside and outside? There is no real inside and outside. Okay, does the glass divide the space? No. Okay, so when you move the glass from here to here, does the space move? No. The glass moves in space. The space doesn't move. Okay, so therefore, this awareness, when Shastra reveals to us that it is only one, we have no logic to what? Refute what Shastra says. Abhaditva. We can't arrive at it. Please understand. If you could arrive at it, you don't need Shastra. Shastra will become redundant. Pramana. Shastra as a pramana. But when it reveals it, you can't contradict it. And it makes you see what is, and these kind of examples facilitate your understanding. It uses examples because otherwise our mind is not able to what? Comprehend. So therefore, these are all understanding aids. Okay? So therefore, this is this awareness. Now, what we have done is what? Freed it from location. Sorry? All pervading. We have made it as something which is available in my buddhi, as self-evident I, which I mistake as good as physical body, subtle body, or causal body. It shows I'm independent of all of that, and it is something which is not only independent, but it is not confined to this body. All pervasive. Okay. Now you have to, so therefore now you have to come to another thing which is a very important thing in order to complete, not even just add one more dimension to understanding in order to move towards understanding. When I made it all pervasive, what does it mean? That it pervades what? Every body, every physical body, every subtle body, every causal body. It pervades everything. Now, if it was independent, if awareness was one thing, and physical, subtle and causal body were something totally different from it, will that make that awareness limitless? No. Why? Limitless by its definition means what? You can't have two. You have one thing which is very big, and you have another thing which is tiny, and if they both enjoy the same order of reality, what will happen? That little thing will limit this big thing. You can't call it limitless. Right? So in order for it, we are not just talking about all pervasiveness. Shastra wants to what? Take us to one more level, which is what? From there, this is what we call methodology. Starts with what? Sukshma, Sthula Sharira. Where has it gone? Chit. steps. And it's not like you bring everything together and you make one whole big khichdi. You move what? Step to step to have clarity. Otherwise the whole Vedanta is all jumbled up. Okay, so therefore now the big question is, so if physical body, subtle body and the causal body were totally different from awareness, you can't call awareness what? Limitless. So in order for it to be limitless, you have to understand something more. So what is that something more? We'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.